Have you ever been to one of those elementary school festivals put on by a bunch of overworked PTA moms? Each station is kind of a slapdash game that doesn't really work right, so each kid that tries it sort of awkwardly struggles until the kind volunteer running it just sort of lets them take a prize anyway. That's kind of how the Crystal Maze feels, but in reality show form. Grab the hand and let's go. We're talking about the Crystal Maze. Crystal Maze is a British game show that technically started in the 1990s, but I don't care about that. We're talking about the 2017 reboot. The only British history I care about is when we left the place, am I right, guys? The conceit of the show is that a team of 5 different friends or family play a series of games across 4 different themed zones: industrial, Aztec, medieval, and futuristic. Long ago, the 4 nations lived together in harmony. For each game they win, they earn a crystal. And at the end, each crystal equates to 5 extra seconds in the dome, where they can try to catch points in the form of little metallic sheets that blow around everywhere. Oh, and we're only gonna talk about season 1 of the reboot because that's the one I've seen. The Richard Zone. The reboot is hosted by Richard Ayoade of IT Crowd fame, which he's amazing in.
I came here to drink milk and kick ass. And I've just finished my milk.
Personally, I fell in love with him from his appearance in Last One Laughing.
I used to play a lot of PS5.
Okay.
Have you ever played any of them?
I've never played a video game.
Not even a Game Boy?
No, because that's a video game.
Sega Mega Drive?
A game, these are video games.
Oh my goodness. So what did you do growing up?
I don't know, I cried a lot.
Richard is a simple man, and yet profoundly complex. He never laughs, which gave him a severe advantage in Last One Laughing, if you ask me.
I laugh once a decade. Thank you for witnessing it.
In this show, you can tell he wants to make fun of the contestants constantly.
They're jumping again. They're jumping. They just love to jump.
We've got plenty more zones, we've got plenty more crystals, and they're all ours.
Leon, those things aren't true.
We were prison officers, both
Okay.
working at a youth offenders.
Excellent. I mean, thank goodness someone's locking these kids up.
He usually just goes for it, but sometimes he's really nice and he holds back if you can tell that someone's getting genuinely frustrated.
I'm proud of you, all of you. Less so you, but all of you. And I think you can turn this around. I believe in you.
You kind of get the sense that production has very little control over Richard, that he's a free agent, that production is like a team of scientists with a god complex that have harnessed a power bigger than themselves that they can no longer wield. He leads the teams to run around the set recklessly, all while yelling about how dangerous the set is and how he's not liable for any injuries.
This is a loose surface. This is a loose surface. By the way, this ladder is very oily. I'm not liable for injury. I'm not liable for any injury.
He trash talks the show constantly.
She also said, no matter what they take from me, they cannot take away my dignity. I'd like this show to stand as a counter-argument to that.
He gives contestants shit for having any sort of excitement for being on the show.
Your biggest lifetime achievement is now appearing on the... This is it? Oh my good grief, I'm so sorry.
And when the teams finally get to the dome at the end of the games, he undermines the prizes so hard.
Between 50 and 100, it's a middling prize. It's gonna disappoint you. Over 100, you may still be angry with the prize. You may go, we've probably taken time off work for this. And if we add up the cash value of this prize versus what I've lost in income, I've not come out a winner here.
It genuinely feels like Richard is being held hostage to be the host of this show.
You're more than welcome to have this job. I'm not competitive about it.
He has this wooden hand on an umbrella stick that I love. Based on comments he makes occasionally, we can assume that the hand stick is to keep contestants at a distance. Richard has reported many times across different platforms that he doesn't really like hugs or physical touch. I like that he doesn't really have a problem on the show telling people to back up. Without realizing it, I became so invested in Richard's aversion to physical touch that when a contestant tried to bear hug him while soaking wet, I called the real life cops.
911, what's your emergency?
The zone's zone. You may have figured out by this point that this isn't really a maze. It's just a series of disjointed games that the contestants play. But the show does try to inject some little things to keep the pretense of the maze going. Each of the different zones has their own little obstacle course elements that the contestants do for fun in between the games, and they're like pretty easy. They're just to add to the immersion, I guess. In the industrial zone, they'll sometimes crawl through a series of duct pipes. In the Aztec zone, they have a big pyramid they can scale the side of, and then they navigate through this like viney rock temple. If the Aztec zone is the first zone the team is entering, then they'll go through this cave where there's these boulders blocking it that they have to remove before they can go through. When they're leaving the Aztec zone, Richard will sometimes say, we're gonna go through a majestic waterfall, and then it's just not a majestic waterfall, and that drives me crazy. It's just a little balance beam thing that they go across, which I'm pretty sure is the same balance beam that they use in the medieval zone, just from the opposite direction. Which brings me to my next point. In the medieval zone, They have this balance beam over a foggy bog that they have to run across. There's one episode where a woman falls in. They have to partially dry her off camera before they resume shooting. In the futuristic zone, they have this turning platform with computer screens. There's something so entertaining about watching this team of people just slowly turning on this platform as they discuss the game. There's also a transporter, which Richard likes to point out is a Star Trek ripoff. Richard points out that the futuristic zone is the only zone in which their outfits are thematically appropriate, which hadn't occurred to me until he said it. If the team is starting in the industrial zone, one of the team members has to scale a chain link fence to get to the other side where they can unlock it and let all the other team members in. And it looks like above this chain link fence, there is real life barbed wire, which is a little scary. There's only like a foot of space that they have to crawl through it. So that's a bold move on production's part. The industrial zone also has this safety sign that is clearly just meant for the contestants and staff to see. But for some reason, the camera person likes to zoom in on it and they'll show like a B-roll shot of this sign every once in a while. And it says something like, "Do not use the ladders. The ladders are impractical." I love that for us. There's a large, what can only be described as a vat of bubbling water. Richard has provided the lore that there is a man inside the vat of water blowing bubbles.
There's a guy under there blowing bubbles. That's his job. Watch it. There's some more water there. Because you would have landed on the man in there blowing bubbles.
Though in another episode, he deflects attention from it and says, "Don't worry about why it's bubbling."
Don't worry about why that's bubbling. No need to concern yourself.
So this seems like really a source of shame and secrecy for production. Richard provides the lore that there's a man underneath the platform turning it.
In getting that man to move this around underneath here.
That comment, combined with the comment about the man underneath the vat in the industrial zone blowing bubbles, implies that the Crystal Maze is using slave labor for a lot of their special effects. In the Aztec zone, there are dry, branchy vines that appear across the pyramids. They sometimes have little sprouts of greenery. As Richard once points out,
Why is this so dry? And then all of this is green. Green? You'd have thought whatever's supplying this with water would let that live.
things aren't adding up. There's something that the oppressive forces of the Crystal Maze production aren't telling us. Sometimes when a player is entering into a new game, Richard will ominously say, "When you enter, you might look different."
When you go through that door, you're going to look slightly different. Don't worry about why. And you go, I told you this would be a good cut.
Right.
A simple joke about post-production editing? Maybe. Or a dark peek into the twisted reality of the Crystal Maze, where nothing is as it seems. The games zone. There are 4 categories of games: physical, mental, skill, and mystery. The physical category of games require the players to move their body in some way, but it's never that hard. It's like nowhere near the difficulty of like the physical games in Big Brother or something like that. The teams always assume that physical means it's going to be strength-based, so they send in their absolute unit of a player, and it literally always backfires because the games are never strength-based. It's always agility or something. The mental games involve an intellectual puzzle to solve, usually involving words or math. The skill-based games always require aiming or reflexes or something dexterity related. And the mystery category means whatever the hell they want it to mean. I don't know what mystery means. I think it's just the catch-all for anything they couldn't fit in the other 3 categories. I think mystery is a stupid category of game to have because the purpose of the categories is to give the teams somewhat of a hint on who they should send in. But when you say it's a mystery, it's just redundant. It's all a mystery already. You're already at a disadvantage. All you're doing is adding salt to the wound. Some of these games have what we call an automatic lock-in situation, or an ALIS for short.
This is an ALIS. Automatic lock-in situation. It's an acronym we're trying to coin. It's not really working out.
That means that the player has to get out of the game space before the time runs out, with or without the crystal, or they'll be locked in, and then their teammates can choose whether or not to use a crystal to buy their freedom. The math doors game. In this game, the player has to do different math problems to get the different door codes to go through a series of doors to get to the crystal. When they turn around to go back, they have to remember the reverse order of each of the door codes they entered in to go back. This one is really hard because the players don't know that they have to remember the door codes when they go in. There's a couple clues, like Richard will say, "Here's a hint, getting to the crystal might not be the hardest part." There's also a sign that says, "Enter the code to enter," and exit is underlined. But I still think it's really, really hard to remember things, especially a series of like 6 or 7 things when you just don't know that that's what you're supposed to do. But there is one person who did it, so I guess not. The engagement ring game. In this game, the player is inside this really cramped industrial geometrical space where they have to kind of duck their head and move around all these different boxes. I call it the engagement ring game because the crystal in this game is attached to a ring and it ends up looking like a giant goofy engagement ring. They have to navigate the ring along a pipe until they get to a hatch. They have to unscrew the hatch so that they can continue feeding the ring through and then get to the end. This one is the hardest game to watch in this entire show. The players keep hitting their heads. They give them a construction hat, but there's like one girl where the hat's too big and keeps falling off.
I need to take this thing off.
The poor person is having so much trouble navigating through this really claustrophobic place. As you get closer to the end of the obstacle, it gets more and more cramped. So they're counting down like 10, 9, 8. This poor player is like panicking in this little metal pathway. Really, the only practical way to unscrew the hatch is while standing on it, but you can't get through the hatch while you're standing on it. It can be done, but it's super frustrating. 8 out of 10 difficulty. The 4-letter word game. In this game, there's a 4x4 grid of letters, and there's a series of little puzzle shapes that can fit around those letters. The player has to form 4 4-letter words before the time is up. All they have to do is just start putting different puzzle pieces down to see what will fit together, and then I feel that the words will start to reveal themselves. What the players normally do is just kind of stand there, scratching their heads, staring at the board, not even touching the puzzle pieces, or maybe they'll get like one that's like the easiest kind of piece to get, and they'll put it down, and then they'll just leave it and assume that it's right. All the while, Richard is yelling at them saying, "There are red herrings, there might be red herrings," and people just ignore him. Difficulty 3 out of 10, because I'm cocky and I think that I could do this one. The phone game. In this game, there's one power cable attached to the first phone that rings, and the player answers it, and the phone will give them a clue as to what the next phone color they should answer is.
This colour is a result of the absence of light.
Black. This one? Yeah. Hello?
However, that next phone won't ring until you connect the cable to the next phone. After solving clues from a few different phones, a box will open and reveal the crystal. The Girly Pops team graced us with so many good moments on this game.
This colour symbolises 50 years.
50 years.
Pink is 50 years.
Is it anything on the walls? Anything anywhere, say 50 years.
Orange.
So what colour would you say symbolises 50 years?
Pink.
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 Pink. What colour's
Pink.
Difficulty 5 out of 10. The spinning wheel game. The players can't touch the floor. They have to step across a series of spinning wheels to hit different red buttons along the wall. Then they get the crystal on the other side of the room, and then they have to return, also walking along the spinning wheels and not touching the ground. A couple of teams used the absolute worst technique, which is to get on all fours. When you're on 2 feet, it sucks. Like, you have to keep stepping so that you're not turning, or you are turning and you're kind of stumbling. When you're on all fours, you're just being spun around like an animal, and you can't get your bearings. You can't move to the next wheel. You get dizzy really, really fast. It's just the absolute worst.
He's on all fours. What's he doing?
Both times that the players doing this got on all fours, their team was encouraging to do it, and I was like, shut up, you idiots. Now let's talk about the games in the Aztec zone. The totem game. There's these 4 different colored pieces to build a totem pole, and there's a small dragon that tells you how many of the pieces are placed correctly, and you have to just keep trying different combinations and asking the dragon until you get all 4 pieces correct. When the player is entering into the game room to play this one, Richard always seems to forget to tell them that there's going to be an open flame until they're already in the room, and then he kind of yells in, "Oh yeah, there's a fire-breathing dragon, please be careful."
There's a fire-breathing dragon, by the way. Watch out for that.
They have this little red square that is placed on the ground, and the players are supposed to stand on it so that they're not in the blast zone, but that little red square can move around. There's even a team that tried to put it on the totem pole as part of the combination. I don't know, I'm just really worried that somebody's gonna get their hair singed off by this thing. Difficulty 9 out of 10. I fear. The red and blue blocks game. Oh, this game. This game. The player has to look at the puzzle key on the wall to see which blocks to use for the blue statue. They then need to swim across the game room, put the corresponding blocks in the blue statue, which will then reveal a key to what blocks to put in the red statue. Then they need to swim back and put those blocks in the red statue. But something strange happens every single time a player enters into this room. They look at the key on the wall for the blue statue, then they look at the red blocks next to the red statue, and they pick up a couple red blocks and they attempt to swim to the other side with the red blocks. Why they do this, I don't know. I don't know why every single team tries to swim across the room with red blocks in their hand. That's not part of the puzzle. I have racked my brain trying to figure out what compels people to do this, and I can't figure it out. And Richard seems frustrated too. Every single time they try to do this, he's just yelling, "Are there colors? Are there colors of the blocks? Do the colors matter?" Sometimes the players listen, sometimes they don't. Difficulty, I guess 9 out of 10. I don't know. I want to believe that I could figure this one out easily, but who the hell knows? This game does something to people. The sliding planks game. Here we come upon our first Foggy Bog game. As someone who's become a fanatic of the Crystal Maze Season 1 of the reboot, I've become a huge fan of the Foggy Bog. A Foggy Bog only appears in a few of the games, but I really love it. I'm like a little kid every time it shows up. I'm like, yes, a Foggy Bog! Foggy Bog might be my favorite character of the game. I said it. If I get another pet, I'll probably name it Foggy Bog. Foggy Bog, put that down. Put that down, Foggy. Put that down, Foggy Bog. 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 In this game, the player has to step on one of the little cinder block squares and then squat down and slide the wooden planks across. And they have to use them to find a path to the crystal and then use them again to find a path back to the door. One guy tries to take the planks out entirely and then lay them across a different thing. And then Richard's like, no, that's not what you're supposed to do. Just once, I want somebody to fall into the Foggy Bog so that I can see how deep it is, because I can't tell. Is it half a foot? Is it a foot? Somebody take one for the team and just stand in the Foggy Bog just so I can see. Is that too much to ask? You really have to go fast for this one, so I'm giving it a difficulty of 7 out of 10. The word wheel game. Players have to turn a series of wheels with letters on them until it forms 12 8-letter words going down towards the center. I really think the teams should just focus on like 1 or 2 wheels at a time. The center one doesn't move, and then you take the one just outside the center and just move it until each spot forms part of a word that makes sense. And then go to the outer wheel, and then go to the wheel outside of that. None of the teams do this except for one. They do it in exactly the way I would, and it's so satisfying to watch because every single other team that goes in there just moves the circles around frantically. Nobody knows what's going on. There's too many variables, and it's a nightmare. Difficulty 8 out of 10, I guess. Even though I think I could do it pretty easily. The ball and ropes game. This is, in my opinion, one of the most difficult games of the whole season. There's this glass circular platform, which I'm trying not to think about is probably just an upside down tabletop that they got off Facebook Marketplace or something. And it's held up by 4 different ropes, and it has an opening on one side. The player in this game just has to slowly raise the ropes one by one until the tabletop is the platform is high enough to dump the balls out of the opening into like a chute. You have to go super slow and methodical with this one, and you have to like raise one side a lot higher first until you eventually raise the other one so that everything dumps out. Also, if 3 balls drop, you are automatically locked in, so like that's pretty easy to do. If they bring back another game like this in season 2, I'll rage. I will rage. Difficulty 10 out of 10. This one sucks. Now let's talk about the games in the medieval zone. The synonyms game. In this game, the players have to arrange the dominoes so that each pair of words next to each other forms a pair of synonyms. There's some red herrings thrown in there, which always throws people off. Sometimes it's clear that the players don't really understand what synonyms are, and Richard is always in this bad position where he like kind of wants to tell them what synonyms are, but he doesn't want to patronize them. So he's just kind of like, do we all know what synonyms are? And then everybody feels pressured to say yes. And it's just, it's so sad. If you get one wrong and then you keep building on top of that, it really sucks because all of the ones after that are wrong, which happened on one episode where they like accidentally threw an antonym in there, and so they had opposites next to each other. It was so hard to watch. Difficulty 6 out of 10. The Night Guard game. In this game, the player has to navigate through a series of little like dungeon hallways while there are a couple of knights pacing around following certain pathways, and you have to avoid them. I feel like anyone who's played a video game has played a video game like this. When I was a kid, I had this demo for a game called Thief that I played over and over again, and this game in the Crystal Maze just reminds me so much of that demo.
Hello? Show yourself.
On one of the episodes, a girl goes in to play this game, and she immediately gets really freaked out and starts crying and wants to leave because she's like scared of the guards. I'll be honest, immediately I was just like, come on, they're not gonna hurt you. Like, you're on a game show. What do you think the guards are gonna do? Like, they're not gonna slam you against the wall. Listen, when I was a kid, I'd have friends come over to spend the night, and we'd be having a great time. We'd have a lovely dinner of pizza and chips, and we would watch a movie. And then inexplicably, my friend would start crying and get really scared and ask to go home. And I was like, What the hell, dude? We're having a good time. I spend the night at your house all the time. Why are you afraid of my house? But I digress. My point is, I may have gotten a little frustrated at Jade when she got freaked out by this game, but the show was a lot nicer than I was, and I really appreciated that. They were really sweet to her. Richard was like, we don't want anyone to feel scared on this show, and you can just pick someone else from your team to do this challenge.
It is not the intention of this show to make people uncomfortable. That's what I'm here for. Yes. Okay, you don't have to complete this. You can select someone else to go in.
And I guess my heart grew 3 sizes or whatever. Difficulty 6 out of 10. The Roman numeral game. I have never felt more stupid than when trying to make sense of this game. I understand Roman numerals on some level, but this would just be my nightmare of a game to play. You gotta do math with Roman numerals, and those aren't numbers to my brain. Hey, Roman numerals, you're letters. Act like it. Difficulty 10 out of 10, because I make the ratings and I hate this one. The fan building game. Several larger interlocking pieces form a base for a giant key that you can put into a hole and then crank to activate a fan, which will blow the crystal down a chute. Almost every team makes the mistake of initially turning the crank the wrong way, and then they realize nothing's happening, and then they turn it the other way and then it works. There's one episode where there's an aerodynamicist on the team, and I got so excited about this one because I was like, I bet that aerodynamicist guy is gonna like see this mechanism and understand that the fan will only blow if you turn it a certain way. But he doesn't. He didn't figure that out. It just really felt like Chekhov's aerodynamicist. To be fair to him though, I have no idea what the fuck an aerodynamicist does, so that might not be it at all. Difficulty 5 out of 10. The math prison game. In this game, the player goes into a prison cell, grabs the crystal, and by the time they turn around, a prison guard has shut the door on them and locked it. In order to be let out, the player has to answer 2 riddles correctly, and they're not riddles at all, they're just math problems. The level of salty I would be if I went in to do a mystery game and it was just math problems. Oh, I'd be so pissed. They do this cool camera angle with this game where they show a bird's eye view with like the math problem up against the wall. Okay, cinematography, I see you. My strategy for this would just be let the time run out and say, oh no, I was thinking about it. I didn't have time, so that I didn't look stupid that I just couldn't do math right. But there's unlimited time, so you just have to say something. We do get some lore about the prison guard throughout the course of the show. Richard reveals to us that he's actually Sir Patrick Stewart.
Do you know who this is? Patrick Stewart. Oh. This is Patrick Stewart. That's how committed he is.
Thank you.
In between X-Men, he comes down here. Bye, Pat. Yeah.
He used to be really funny, but his job has made him very quiet, which is pretty sad.
I think being in that jail's actually got him down over time. Because he used to be a funny guy, like zingers. He used to do magic, sleight of hand.
I really hope Patrick Stewart is doing better these days. Okay, we've reached the futuristic zone. Are you starting to get the putt-putt course vibes this show is giving? It's giving half-off laser tag on Tuesdays, and I love it. The spinning planets game. The player has to jump onto each planet, which is hanging from a pole, until they get to the end, and then they have to just go back using the same planets. Except this one player starts spinning on the first planet. And he can't stop spinning for the entirety of the game. At one point, he's just trying to get back on the entrance platform, and he can't. This poor guy, he looks like really defeated when he comes out too, and it just... Oh my god, it sucks. Difficulty 4 out of 10. I'm so sorry, Mr. Man. The microchip game. In this game, the player has to navigate through a little obstacle course, find these little microchips, and then plug them into their place on the motherboard until they're given the crystal, and then they need to get out. This one is so funny because if the player doing it is experienced with tech, they recognize pretty immediately that the microchips they're supposed to grab are they're just not a microchip. They're not representative of a microchip at all.
It's not a microchip, but I'll take it with me.
I guess this is a microchip.
It looks like just like a plastic water bottle or like a pipe fitting or something that they've repurposed. The little tunnels they have to crawl through remind me of McDonald's playscapes. I miss the simplicity of that. Let me crawl through a playscape again without feeling like a predator. I really think this is the best set design. It's just so fun. Like, I'm just imagining how they made the little motherboard designs on the walls. Difficulty 4 out of 10. The Riddle Master game. This one made me laugh every single time it was on the show. The player enters to see a wall of containers holding colored chemicals, and in one container there is a disembodied head and blue liquid, and the disembodied head speaks and is like an actual guy. He tells the player that they need to solve a couple riddles before they can get the crystal and leave. Everyone who enters is just so uncomfortable to see this man's head sitting in a container of liquid. This one girl looks literally so disgusted with him, like he's a random guy on the train trying to talk to her or something. I just feel so bad for Chemical Head Guy. Like, he's giving absolutely 100%, and he's completely underappreciated.
And did you see how freaky he was?
I love Chemical Head Guy. I hope he comes back in season 2. I want to see more of him. My only complaint about this game is that whenever they do get the riddles right, it's like, okay, we're gonna release the colored liquid and it's gonna like make the combination. That's the whole like pretense for this one. And so like little tubes will release colored liquid on the wall, but it doesn't go into the blue liquid with the head. And that drives me crazy because doesn't it seem like it should? Clearly, you know, the guy's not actually in liquid, like he's in some other container. So like it was a missed opportunity. It was a missed opportunity.
And sleep.
The team's zone. Each team creates a name for themselves to use on the show. However, given the clarity of hindsight, I've taken the liberty of creating my own names for these teams. The Penguins. This team consists of 5 members of the Watson family. This family is so fun to watch. They're pretty supportive and positive in the beginning, but around halfway, some of the family annoyance kind of sets in.
You're gonna have to speed up.
You are gonna have to speed
Strangely
up.
enough, I'm trying my hardest.
One of the players fails a game, and the family opts not to buy his freedom right away.
Not at the moment.
You're gonna have to, wow, that came back very firm. Paul, they are not buying you out with a crystal.
What?
So he's just stuck there in the game for a while as they continue to try to earn crystals. They keep cutting to shots of him just standing there all bored in the game space that he got stuck in. It feels so mean. The mom of the group plays a game and then fails. She kind of gets annoyed and gives up towards the end with like 18 seconds left. Richard is like, what the heck? Why did you quit so early? And she's just kind of pouting about it.
These are useless at work.
Well, good time.
Useless at work.
So they let the mom do the next game as well, which I found to be a poor choice. You know, if someone loses, you keep it moving. You move on to the next person. Back of the line. But she goes in and again gets frustrated and quits with like 15 seconds left. Not that that 15 seconds would have made a difference or made her win the game, but it's just kind of a bad sportsmanship move to just quit with so much time left. Richard kind of tries to give her shit about it again, but she's really grouchy, so he kind of backs off.
I knew what I was trying to do, but it didn't. It had the wiggle.
Do you know how close you are to this door? How long do you allow for your commute?
Later on, a female player is sent in to do the disembodied head riddle game, and she's just immediately frustrated because it's a riddle game. She says, I physically can't do riddles.
Physically, I can't do riddles.
She physically can't do them. She physically cannot riddle.
Chemical Head Guy gives her a couple riddles, and they just keep pissing her off exponentially. I unironically love when someone can't figure something out, and instead of being like, oh man, I can't do it, they just become really belligerent. They're like, this whole thing is wrong and dumb. When she can't get the last riddle, she genuinely looks like she wants to throw hands.
A penguin. A penguin. A penguin.
In the dome, Richard is like, I guess she doesn't like losing. And she's like, I feel like that's all of us.
You're not someone who likes losing.
Just me? I feel like that's like all of us.
No.
Especially during the all same. Yeah.
Athena's revenge. Richard is giving Ronald McDonald realness in this episode. In the introductions, we find out that Athena is the friend who decided to apply for the show, named herself as captain, and sent the applications along to the other friends. And then one of the other guys, Leon, just took it upon himself to name him as captain, like changed it from Athena to his name. I was so furious with him for this. I guess Richard also took umbrage with it because he kept giving Leon little jabs about it throughout the show.
You're the skipper who took control from this person. Who are you choosing for this first skill game?
I think I'm gonna lead by example and put myself in front.
Okay, that could have gone either way. You could have said lead by example by choosing someone suited to this task.
One of the guys does the planet game, and one of the other team members is like, use your feet. And he's like, I forgot I could use my feet. What do you mean? What do you mean you forgot you could use your feet? What are you talking about? That same guy needs a helmet, and then after the game, he just keeps the helmet on. And Richard is like, hey, you can take that off. And he's like, haha, yeah. And then he just unclips it and leaves it on his head. I died. The team is deciding who to send in for a mental game at some point, and they kind of gesture to Athena and they're like, the most unique member of our team, which just feels like a compliment you give to someone when you don't know anything about them.
The most unique person on this team.
The most unique.
The most unique person.
There are no gradations of uniqueness.
Eventually, Leon gets locked in. Athena takes her rightful place as captain.
Acting captain now.
Finally,
At last.
my rightful place.
Exactly.
They get this great shot of Leon, and later Leon returns after experiencing an ego death in the foggy bog. After the team finishes in the dome, Richard is like, how do you think you guys did? And Mikkel is like, 108 tokens. And Richard's like, wow, that's really specific. And he's just really confident about it.
Okay, you're saying 108 total after silver have been taken away.
Silver's been taken
You've
away.
picked 108.
108.
And then he's just furious when he finds out they actually did really bad. The martial artists. Unlike the last episode, we start this episode with a female captain, so I guess feminism lives to see another day. They tried to call themselves the martial arts team. Martial artists is right there. I'm always a little wary of the person who chooses the red jumpsuit for themselves because, like, okay, Red Ranger, let's see if you live up to this. Like, you just know that person thinks they're the main character. For better or worse. Maybe they are. We'll see. This episode has probably my favorite character of the entire season, Ryan. Each contestant on the show gets to give one fun fact that they want Richard to ask them about in the introductions. And the fun fact that Ryan gives the show is that he has no common sense. Richard asks him what common sense means to him, and he's like, no idea. Beats me. Not a brain cell bouncing around in here.
I'm seeing here, Ryan has no common sense.
Yeah, that's me.
What do you feel common sense is?
No idea.
I love him. He reminds me of the guy from Spy Kids. Late in the game, Richard asks Ryan if he feels guilty that he hasn't won anything yet, and he's like, nope, I forgot. I really can't stress enough how much Ryan rules. The furries. When the bios for these players started coming up and each one was in a fursuit, I had to do a double take and rub my eyes all squeaky like a Looney Tune. The show tries to call them the cosplay team, and I cannot figure out why. It had to have been a production decision because, like, these are clearly not cosplayers, they're furries. Is furries like a licensed IP or something? Richard gets to ask each one of them about their fursona. They're so nerdy. I cannot tell you how delighted I am that production okayed this. The girly pops. This team is having the most fun out of anyone in the show by far.
Okay, you're gonna struggle to maintain that enthusiasm.
This whole time, Richard has helped out the teams with little hints, but this is the first team that he gives a straight up answer to, and I think he kind of gets in trouble with production for it.
The presence of chlorophyll creates this colour.
Presence of chlorophyll creates this colour. Blue?
Chlorophyll.
Creates this colour?
Let's say blue.
I can't bear it. It's green. It's green. I can't bear it. It's green. Now, I should not have told you the answer. I shouldn't have done that. I couldn't help myself. I couldn't stand it any longer.
What does it mean?
You can keep that crystal. That's okay. That's on me. It's not your fault.
Well read and underfed. I guess I must have been frustrated with these guys because I wrote, I'm starting to think they screen these people based on how bad they are at puzzles. When they're running around the set, one of the guys does this cool slidey thing. Hell yeah, man. One of the guys does the math door game and he slays it. But it kind of just makes me think back to my boy Paul and how they locked him in. Why'd they have to do that to my boy?
Why'd they stretch out my boy?
The same guy who did the math door game does the asteroid game and tries to run off with the helmet. What is it with guys on this show and the helmets?
Hey, please take the helmet off. That's a rental. Put it down.
The soccer players. I forgot to take notes on this episode, but I think they were just fine. Sorry, guys. No one out pizzas the Hut. This is a very wholesome group of friends that met while they were all working at Pizza Hut. As someone whose closest group of friends all met while working as baristas, I really had a soft spot for these guys. The Record Breakers. This is a family that did so badly that they actually ended up with 0 crystals at the end. That's one of the records that they broke, and the other one is that they had the same player get locked in twice. The show did this super sweet thing where they let the family go into the dome anyway. They couldn't collect any tokens, of course, but Richard blew the start and stop whistles at the same time, and it was just to kind of like give them a chance to experience what it's like to be in the dome. Good job, Crystal Maze. That was so nice of you. Jury duty. These guys all met during what the British call jury service, which I'm assuming is just jury duty. I really love that. I don't know, I'm really fascinated by the idea of a bunch of random people becoming friends. Black Ice. These guys are all in an AC/DC tribute band. This guy not only chose the red jumpsuit for himself, but he also has this cute little hat. We have a main character on our hands. I see you, Red Ranger. Every time this team wins a game, the show plays this cute little guitar riff.
Yeah! Very good. Oh.
The boarding school boys. These guys met at a boarding school for the deaf. I did feel like maybe being deaf or hard of hearing would be a big disadvantage in the game because of how many audible clues are given, but it didn't seem to affect their gameplay at all. They did just fine. The Yogis. I call this team the Yogis because they are so relaxed. At times it feels like they are all on Ambien. And even Richard is getting frustrated, like he's telling them like, you're being timed, you need to hurry. We have to speed this up. The tinfoilers. On this team, one girl is afraid of tinfoil, and I just think that's really valid.
You don't like the sound of the word, or you don't like the crunch of the foil?
The crunchiness of it.
Wow.
Had us in the first half. This team started out so formidable, and then they just fell apart. Each family member has a really cool job, like aerodynamicist, pharmacist, personal trainer / kickboxer guy. They did win my heart a little bit because Richard said there would be a physical comp, and they didn't send their beefed out kickboxer guy. They sent a guy who was a little bit more lean and light on his feet, and I was like, yes! Finally, the end zone. Okay, so the dome blows around the tokens, which sounds like coins to me, but is actually little metallic sheets, as shown here being cut by Richard.
I find it hard to delegate.
The team has to try to grab as many tokens as possible and shove them into the little box. Each gold token counts as a point, and each silver token detracts a point. 0 to 50 tokens wins nothing, 50 to 100 tokens wins a middling prize, and then anything over 100 gets a better prize. I don't think anyone on this season ever won one of the better prizes. Each player, no matter what, gets a commemorative crystal. Richard always downplays the crystals, but the contestants are very defensive of the crystal prize. They love the crystal prize. The middling prizes are definitely as anticlimactic as Richard tries to warn people about. A VIP behind the scenes experience at the London Aquarium, a family style photo shoot with a photography company, and partner skydiving. If I had busted my ass in these games, only to be awarded partner skydiving, something I have no desire to do, something I'm terrified to do, I would be like,
what the hell to the no?
I would sob. The aquarium thing or something like that would be pretty cool, but you know, with all the money they spent on sets and stuff, and with how difficult it is to win anything in this game, you'd think they could splurge a little bit. Wow, thank you for coming along on this journey with me. If you liked this, please consider becoming one of my first subscribers, and maybe give me a like out of pure pity, much like Richard gave hints to the contestants on this show. Thanks for watching, if indeed
you still are. What's your strategy?
Well, I'm hoping the lack of common sense will counteract the fact that I'm an apprentice. Two negatives will mean I'll get the crystal, yeah.
I think this guy's all over it.